I don't think anybody's going to stop the wishbone. I don't think any defense is going to stop it in the sense that I think you mean. They're going to score a lot of points. I've seen anybody stop Texas when they stopped themselves outside of the Arkansas ball game, and I think that, you know how banged up they were for Arkansas, but I don't think anybody's going to stop them. Well, what do you mean by contain? So, I mean, contain is, hopefully holding less than 50 or 60 points. That's what you mean, yeah. I would consider that containing, but,
I think Joe's on my leg.
That's not my knee shaking. I don't know. I really don't know. We have not played anybody that's run the wishbone like Texas has. We played Texas Christian, and they were fooling around with it. Really, they're in the first stages of developing it, and they did some things to get some throwing out of Jude that was a little bit different than what we're doing. We have not seen anybody do as many things with the way they block, contain, and what have you. I just don't know what we can expect. We're going to have to play. I just hope we can have moderate success anyway, but I really have no way of knowing what's going to happen. All I know is I walked in my room after practice, and this is a true story, and in the suite, there's a candle, and it was lit. And somebody put it there. And it was to St. Jude. And St. Jude's a patron of hopeless causes, so I don't know. That's a true story. Still burning. I'm not going to put it out.
Let me say this. You know, I think the name of the term that's been given our offensive alignment, wishbone, I think that's kind of catchy, and it. In some people's mind, they think that there's something different about it, but there's not that much difference about what we're doing. It's still basically you've got to handle the football and you've got to block someone. And defensively, if they put people in there and defeat your blocks and slide to the ball, you're not going to move it. But let me say that we have the same problem stopping Penn State as they have stopping us. I haven't checked this, Joe, but I'm sure your publicity man is probably here, isn't he?
He should be.
What did you average per game offense? I bet you it was past ours.
It was about 480.
480? Yeah. What did we average, Honus?
360.
Yeah, but we kept our quarterback healthy all year too, Darrell.
I'm the outside linebacker, and I'll probably go to the formation side against Texas, and I'll just try to contain them, and we have to defend them from sideline to sideline, so we just try to do our best.
What's the best part of your game?
Well, defensively, I like to think that our linebackers are the best part of the game. We get some real good play by the fellows up front, the tackles and the defensive ends, and they kind of strip the interference, and they kind of set up for us. And Gary Gray and John Scorpan and Tommy Hall, they've had a lot of tackles this year, and it's mostly set up by our front four.
What would you have to say has been the best game for you personally this year?
Personally, probably the Iowa game or the North Carolina State game was my best, probably.
Is this due to a crackdown on violent crimes?
Yes, the major crimes now, the index crimes, as reported by the Uniform Crime Reporting Unit, are those of murder, rape, robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, theft over 50 in value, and auto theft. And those are what we consider the serious crimes. And we have emphasized in our enforcement thrust to really zero in on the major crimes. So our thrust has been to deal with the major crimes this year, and of course many of those are violent type crimes.
Mm-hmm. According to the report, the FBI report, crime was down by 6% across the nation. Is this due to a want for peace?
Well, I think not only is there a want for less crime now and the conditions that follow crime, but I think there's an understanding now more on the part of many people of what must be done to bring about that reduction.
To purchase 150 vehicles, the county would have to spend $518,000. The plan is proposed by County Commissioner Dick Andersen. He claims the county would save money in the long run because the operation would pay for itself within 5 years. But County Judge Howard Green says he doesn't feel Commissioner Andersen is really serious about spending all that money for county cars, calling it absurd and not a thoroughly thought-out plan. Green prefers to trim the current car allowance system to save the money.
A number of years ago, the car allowance was used here at the courthouse to supplement salaries that were substandard. And consequently, many people were placed on car allowances who actually didn't use their cars for on-county business. However, within the last 5 years, the salaries of county employees have been greatly increased. And at this time, they're comparable with salaries in private industry, actually probably a little better. And so the car allowance system that is being abused to some extent, much of it should be drastically reduced.
According to the figures I've found, the county is paying out $16,000 a year in gas and oil to court bailiffs. In their work, bailiffs are not required to use their cars. They drive them to work in the morning and park them, and then drive them home at night. The county auditor, who doesn't use his car for work either, is paid $150 a month car allowance. The plan to purchase county vehicles isn't given much of a chance, but according to Judge Green and Commissioner Jerry Mabus, the 21,000 gallons of gas doled out each month has to be trimmed, which means some people will be taken off the list of free gas and oil. A 20% figure suggested by Judge Green would mean a savings of about $99,000 a year to the county. Some decision by the court on the matter will be made by January 15th. That's the deadline for approval of the new budget. Jim Green, Channel 8 News on the Move in Fort Worth.
What is this going to do to the profits of Radio Shack and or Tandy Corporation?
As I look at it, absolutely nothing. This is something that was in the wings for about 8 or 9 months, and I have provided for expansion up in that area, and I see no problem at all, profit-wise, sales-wise, or expansion-wise.
The wage price freeze delayed the bad news for a while, but those higher long-distance rates announced last July are now in effect for Texas. The net effect of the 2% higher operator-assisted call rate is about $7.5 million for Ma Bell, money which they say will offset the $900 million worth of gross additions in salaries, taxes, equipment, and other costs the company has incurred in the last 2 years. But here's what it's going to look like on your telephone bill. Yesterday, a 3-minute, direct distance dialed station-to-station call to a point 300 miles away, say from Dallas to Lubbock, cost 85 cents. Today, that same call will cost 66 cents. For a 1-minute call, it'll be only 22 cents. However, yesterday, a person-to-person daytime call requiring an operator cost $1.70. Today, it's $2.30. Direct dialing calls requiring an operator, the O+ calls, won't save you any money, but the operators are still going to politely encourage you to dial them yourself in order to help keep their costs down. If it seems Ma Bell is raising your rates every year, the only phone company in town will quickly point out that since the first long-distance rates were established in 1919, rates have been reduced 15 times and raised only 5. That almost $6 million raise last year only applied to local service. For Channel 8 News on the Move, this is Judi Hanna.
Well, it's all relatively quiet where I'm standing today, but on Saturday afternoon, shortly after the noon hour, you'd have difficulty in even moving right here. Some 75,000 plus people are expected for the annual Cotton Bowl game here at Fair Park between the University of Texas and Penn State. Well, there are, at this moment in Dallas, very few, if any, hotel rooms available for the New Year's weekend. But for some reason, they tell me there isn't the gigantic fight for hotel rooms that has been traditional with Cotton Bowl games of the past. Very few people have been turned away because they had no room. The whole thing, the whole weekend, is quite a boon to Dallas. I asked Jim Skinner of the Cotton Bowl Council just what impact all the festivities would have on the city.
Not only in dollars, of course. I think that one of the biggest things that we probably underestimate is the amount of good public relations and goodwill that goes back to the homes and the cities and states that are here represented by various people for both events. So I think that not only do we measure it in many, many dollars for the city, but we measured it in goodwill and public relations, because I'm sure that, take for example, of the musicians that are in our bands that perform in the parade, each one of these youngsters becomes a goodwill ambassador for the city of Dallas when he goes home and tells about the wonderful time he had here in Dallas.
Well, the list of notables for the weekend is quite lengthy. All the presidents, vice presidents, and high-ranking executives of the Southwest Conference schools will be in Dallas. 3 groups from Mexico, numbering some 200, will be in town for the game. The Maid of Cotton, television actor Peter Graves of Mission Impossible, Phyllis Diller, Carol Channing, and Tennessee Ernie Ford have reservations for the weekend. And one motel reports that reservations have come in from San Francisco, here no doubt to root on for the 49ers in the big NFL championship game Sunday with the Dallas Cowboys in Texas Stadium. And to all this, you have to add the annual Texas Sports Hall of Fame banquet Friday night. So it's going to be a full weekend and a full round of activities for an already bulging city. Jerry Park, Channel 8 News on the move at the Cotton Bowl.
Our interim committee on urban education can and will thoroughly analyze all the court decisions, not just the one in Texas, but throughout the nation, dealing with this question. And by the time the regular session meets in January 1973, we will recommend an alternative plan of financing of public education in Texas, which will meet the constitutional guidelines, both of the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Texas.
You feel that by the time the question comes before the legislature, the committee will have an alternative solution?
Yes, the committee will have an alternative. It will be a constitutional alternative, and it will be one that will provide free public education of equal quality to every child in this state, regardless of whether he lives in a rich school district or a poor school district.
In this paper, we do say that work stoppage is possible with us only if conditions become so bad in the classroom that teaching cannot go on. Then we feel that why be there? We're hurting ourselves and our students. But in Dallas, it would seem like to us that this situation would never come about. But if it happened to like it has in some cities, then a work stoppage might be called.
What do you mean by work stoppage?
Well, not necessarily like a strike holding out for specific things, salary or something like this. The way we think of it is just if the children can't be taught correctly, then as teachers we should stop until the conditions are corrected.
Oh, I believe we accomplished just about everything we went that far. We were able to present our case clearly and showed the emergency of it, showed the urgency of it, and the gravity of it. And these people were most cooperative. They didn't make any firm commitments, but certainly we are very optimistic over the fact that we will get a levee put around Roosevelt Heights and keep it high and dry from here on in.